Where was she living at that time?
In North Bay Village.
Okay, and what is that?
It's a city in Miami.
And was she living in like a high-rise condo? Or
Yes.
Is it more like an apartment?
Yeah, it was an apartment.
All right. And she kicked him out the house?
Yes.
All right. Can you describe for the jury, like, was she finished with him?
Yes.
What was the problem?
It was a tumultuous relationship.
Objection, Judge.
Sustain.
Did you know why she broke up with him?
I've sustained the objection.
So she kicks him out.
Yes.
And who was she then living with at the time?
Her mom.
Her mom?
Yes.
Anyone else?
The kids.
Okay. So that is around the time that she met Charlie Adelson in 2013. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, and I'll do that if I see you nod your head, because it's just for the court reporter to get it down, okay?
You got it.
Okay. Now, was Catherine frustrated with the fact that Sigfredo wasn't helping?
Yes.
All right. And I want to talk now about, because I want to kind of go in chronological order of when you guys were working at the clubs, okay? Now, the state tried to get you to get a specific date of May 2014 is when she broke up. Can you say for certain that that is when that she stopped working at the clubs?
No.
Okay. Are you trying to give an approximation?
Correct.
I'm going to give you another event that may jog your memory. You remember when Catherine got her breast augmentation, correct?
Yes.
That was in October of 2014, correct?
Correct.
All right. And we'd know because the records would reflect that.
Yes.
All right. Do you remember if she ever went back to the clubs after getting the breast enhancement?
I don't recall.
If there were pictures on Facebook that would reflect that,
Yes.
it's a good indicator because it shows.
Correct.
All right. Is it fair to say that the breast enhancements, it's a little obvious to tell from the pictures?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when Sigfredo Garcia was arrested,
Correct.
that was in May of 2016.
Yes.
Okay. They had gotten back together at this time, right?
Yes.
All right. They were living together at that time.
Yes.
And how was Catherine shocked when he was arrested?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the state was asking about, she kind of cut you off. Isn't it true that her lawyer at the time told her not to talk to anybody?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
Now, you had described that relationship with Charlie Adelson as not being serious.
Correct.
Okay, she didn't call him, that's my boyfriend.
No.
Okay. And let's talk about how much she was working around that time. Now, you're a mother of 2 young children, right?
Yes.
How busy are you?
Extremely.
Okay. And you work full time?
I do?
Okay. Not a lot of free time to do a lot of things?
No.
All right. Are your kids about as young as Catherine's are?
Yes.
All right. And now I want to talk about, you had mentioned that Catherine had said, this is what the state got out on direct, that Catherine had told you that Charlie is the one that recommended the doctor.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is not the first time that you've testified to that, right?
Correct.
2 agents came to you at your job, correct?
Yes.
And that was way back in 2016, right?
Yes.
Where did they come and see you?
My job.
At your job. This is at Optima Realty, right?
That's correct.
Can you describe those detectives for me?
There was an FBI agent and a Tallahassee detective.
Okay. And who were they looking for?
They were looking for Catherine.
Okay. But you said that you knew her, and they decided to talk to you, right?
Correct.
All right. Did they record your conversation in any way?
Not that I'm aware.
But they wrote down notes, right?
They did.
Okay. And then they prepared an affidavit of your words, correct?
Correct.
Did you have an opportunity to review that affidavit?
When it came up online.
When it was released to the media, right?
Correct.
Did they accurately reflect your words?
No.
I object to hearsay.
Overruled.
Did they accurately reflect your words?
No.
Had the officers put down something that you did not say?
Correct.
Okay. You brought this to the attention of the state's attorney when your deposition was conducted, right?
Correct.
Okay. But they didn't ask you about that on direct?
No.
Now, even though they were broken up, okay, Sigfredo Garcia, he still had to help take care of his kids, right?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that even though she was dating Charlie Adelson, she was in constant communication with Sigfredo?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that there would be days that she would be calling his phone because she can't find him?
Yes.
He'd go missing for a few days.
Yes.
She'd have no idea where he was.
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that she would always be frustrated about with him?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that Catherine is not one that takes handouts from anybody?
Correct.
She works really hard, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Now, around July of 2014, we're going to use the date that you found out that you got pregnant.
Yes.
Because that's a day that you remember, right? In your opinion, was Catherine acting strange around this time?
No, ma'am.
Nothing, and you know her.
Yes.
You've known her since you guys went to school together.
Yes.
There was nothing unusual about her behavior.
No.
Did she seem nervous?
No.
Did she act weird?
No.
Nothing that stuck out in your mind?
Nothing.
Okay. Now, the Lexus that we talked about,
Yes.
you said that, now you remember there was a time that she was driving the Mazda, right?
Yes.
She didn't have the Mazda and the Lexus at the same time.
No.
All right. So the Mazda wasn't doing too great, right?
No.
Isn't it true that Mazda got into a car accident?
Yes.
Catherine was in that car. Catherine McBanwell was in that car accident.
She was.
Was this around the time of the Pacquiao fight?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And the car, the Mazda, couldn't be driven anymore because of the accident.
Yes.
Is that around the time that Charlie allowed her to use the Lexus?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had been in the Lexus, right?
Yes.
All right. And you had described it as very well kept.
Yes.
Did you know it was a 2001 Lexus?
I did not know the year.
Okay. Did you know it had 150,000 miles on it?
I did not.
Now, even though it was in pristine condition, it kept breaking down, right?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, or do you have any knowledge of whenever it would get fixed, Catherine McBanwell would pay for it, right? Or you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, around the time that, I would say break up, but was there ever a event or anything that Catherine McBanwell came to you and said, oh my God, I'm done with Charlie?
They were on and off. It wasn't anything serious.
So is it fair, it could have been a situation where, I mean, you let me know, because you were there, okay? You don't remember a specific incident of him breaking up with her?
No.
Okay. But they remained friends, isn't that true?
Yes.
They continued talking all the way up until Sigfredo was arrested, right?
Yes.
In fact, when you guys worked together at Optimar Realty, you guys shared office space together, correct?
We did.
Weren't you right beside each other?
Literally right next to each other.
Okay. And you would know that Charlie would still call her.
Yes.
But they would talk as friends still.
Correct.
Now, going back to Mr. Garcia, how did Catherine feel? I mean, Sigfredo did not like Charlie. Sigfredo Garcia did not like Charlie Adelson, did he?
No.
Okay. He didn't make that a secret, right?
No.
And was Catherine aware of this?
Yes.
Did Catherine McBanwell, to your knowledge, try to keep them apart?
Yes.
She didn't want Sigfredo Garcia knowing what she was doing with Charlie Adelson.
Correct.
Overruled.
She didn't want them to know, right?
Yes.
Okay. And she didn't want, did Charlie know about Sigfredo, if you know?
Did he know that he was in the picture? He
Yeah.
knew he was the father of her child, yes.
Okay.
Children.
To your knowledge, have they ever come into contact with each other?
Not that I've seen, no.
Not that you've seen for yourself.
Correct.
But he knew that Catherine was seeing someone else, Sigfredo Garcia.
Yes, he did.
Okay. And this wasn't a situation where they would all hang out together?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about a statement that the state elicited on direct examination. We talked about that statement that Catherine made to you when she called about an accident. You remember that?
Yes.
Now, the state termed it as an accident, but that's not what you said, right?
Excuse me?
The state said that Katie said to you, Charlie says that he's been in an accident, the brother-in-law in Tallahassee, right?
Yes.
But that's not what Katie said. Isn't it true that she said that Charlie said to you, his brother-in-law has been in a car accident? and he needs to go to Tallahassee?
Don't recall. I recall accident, but I don't recall if I said if it was a car accident, but it's possible.
Would looking at your deposition refresh
Yes,
your recollection?
absolutely.
Okay, I'm referring court and counsel to page 96 of the deposition. Oh, thank you. May I go, John?
You may.
Now, without reading anything out loud, you can just read right here, okay?
This paragraph here?
Yes, and when your memory is refreshed, let me know.
Yeah.
Has your memory been refreshed?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say to you?
Car accident.
Okay. Now, this is what she is telling you that Charlie told her.
Correct.
Okay. You don't remember exactly what day this was?
No.
Could have been July 19th,
Could have been.
20th,
Yes.
21st. You don't know.
No.
But the thing that you remember is her saying that Charlie said his brother got into a car accident.
His brother-in-law, yes.
And that is what he told her.
Yes.
Now, when she is telling you this, anything weird on her voice, or does it sound like she was concerned?
Yeah.
She was concerned?
Yes.
Okay. And she was asking to go for you to watch the kid so she could see him before he went to Tallahassee.
Yes.
Okay. She never went to Tallahassee.
No, not
She
that I'm
didn't
aware.
mention anyone's name like Dan Markel,
No.
Wendy Adelson?
No.
None of that.
No.
Okay. Now, the other thing that we were talking about was her working. Well, actually, let's go back to the clubs.
Okay.
Because you actually worked in the clubs.
Yes.
How'd you get paid?
Cash.
All right. Explain to the jury what a good night at a club, or the club that you worked with Catherine, in South Florida, a good night, how much you gonna make in cash?
$400 to $500 a night.
What is bottle service?
You bring out bottles to a group of people that orders bottles.
And they pay a ridiculous amount for, like, one bottle, right?
Yes.
All right. But you guys make the tips.
We do, and we would make a commission off of the actual bottle, depending on the percentage the club would pay you.
Okay, so there's an incentive for you to push the sales of the bottles.
Correct.
All right. But so if you work Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, you could make close to $2,000, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I know you had mentioned that about the Lexus.
Yes.
Did Catherine ever tell you that it was a gift?
She said that he gave it to her, that Charlie gave it to her so that she can, get around. She had the kids.
Okay.
He knew that she needed a vehicle to have her kids.
So in the beginning, he loaned it to her.
Yeah.
You don't know if later on she actually paid him so she could keep it.
I do not.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned 2 different clubs.
Yes.
Right? And you only worked at one?
Correct.
And you got paid both check and cash, or?
No, ma'am. Only
All
cash. Only
Okay.
cash.
And is there anything that you would have to report, or you basically just take your cash and you go?
Cash and go.
Okay. Now, you spent a lot of time with Catherine, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know her pretty well.
Yes.
Around 2014, in your opinion, anything odd happened?
No.
All right. How close was Katie to her mother?
Very.
Okay. And she lived with her mom for a long time, right?
Yes.
And as a mother, how important is being a mother to those 2 young kids?
Sustained.
When is the last time you saw Catherine?
May 2016.
Okay. Do you know where Catherine's been for the past 3 years?
In jail.
Sustained.
You wouldn't lie for anyone under oath, would you?
Absolutely not.
I have nothing further at this time.
Redirect.
Ms. Kawas asked you about some questions, asked you about a report that had been prepared by the FBI or law enforcement in this case, that you review the entirety of that 3-page report.
Yes.
And you believe that there was one mistake in there.
Yes.
Out of the entire report.
Yes.
And I actually didn't ask you any questions about that testimony that you believe was documented incorrectly, did I?
No.
And because you let us know that that was not accurate.
Correct.
But everything else was accurate.
Yes.
Do you recall your address at the time, back in like July 2014?
I believe it was 10735 Northeast 9th Avenue, Biscayne Park, Florida.
I'm sorry, that was long. Can you?
10735 Northeast 9th Avenue, Biscayne Park, Florida.
Okay, thank you. I want to clarify with you some of the dates that you were having trouble remembering.
Yes.
If I were to show you that report prepared by law enforcement that you reviewed, and you said everything was in there was accurate except for that one thing, if I showed you in there the time period that Catherine McBanua and Charles Adelson dated, would that help refresh your memory?
Yes.
May I approach, Judge?
You may.
For defense counsel, I'm on page 1 of Stanford's 3-page report. If you could just read silently where I have underlined and let me know when you're done reading that.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
And is that accurate?
Yes.
So they started dating toward the end of 2013 and maintained a romantic relationship until January or February 2015.
Approximately, yes.
The phone call from Ms. McBanua about Charlie's brother-in-law having been in a car accident
Yes.
up in Tallahassee, you received that call from her the day after she asked you and not Garcia to watch her children the previous day.
Yes.
And you'd kept the kids all night, and then you got the phone call about the car accident.
Yes.
And you later found out that car accident was the murder.
Yes.
A few questions about employment. You talked about how much money you can make in a night. Ms. Kowast asked you how much you would make on a good night.
Yes.
Was every night a good night?
No.
What was your average night?
Sometimes you would make $100 or $200.
A couple $100. And how many nights a week would you do that?
I only work 2 nights a week.
Do you remember how many nights Ms. McBanua worked per week?
It was about the same.
Maybe 2 nights a week?
Yeah.
So this is just a couple $100 here and there,
Yes.
unless you had a really good night.
Yes.
And y'all weren't always paid in cash, were you?
Yes, we were.
Okay, what about you said earlier that she quit working at Club, I hope I have this correct, Club Fate, because the checks were bouncing?
Yes, but I did not work at Club Fate, ma'am.
Okay, so when you were saying you were always paid in cash, that was only Hollywood Live in particular?
That's correct.
You indicated Ms. McBanua quit Hollywood Live 1 to 2 months before you did.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the court reporter has to take it down. And you know that you quit before you learned you were pregnant on July 4th, 2014.
Yes.
Lastly, this Lexus, you mentioned that he'd given it to her to use. When you were answering those questions, were you aware that the title was transferred to her name and it actually became her vehicle?
No.
And after Ms. McBanua quit at Hollywood Live 1 to 2 months before you, no employment until the dermatology office.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, any juror have a question of this witness? All right, okay. We got sidebar. I believe you indicated that you and Ms. McBanua were working at a real estate business together.
Yes.
Did I understand that? Were you receiving a commission there?
No,
Do you know whether she was receiving a commission?
no,
She was not, or you don't know?
no, I don't know. She was an assistant to one of the realtors, but I don't know how she was getting paid.
Was she in a similar position to you?
No, I'm a title insurance agent, so it's two different things.
Are you aware of whether Miss Magbanua was ever romantically involved with Charlie Adelson and Mr. Garcia at the same time?
I do not know.
You're not aware?
I'm not aware.
When you were watching the children overnight, the incident you had referred to, were you aware of whether Mr. Garcia was out of town or not?
I was not aware.
Any follow-up from the state?
No, Judge.
Follow-up from Garcia?
Give me 1 second, Ron. No further questions from Mr. Garcia.
Magbanua?
How often would you watch Catherine's children for her?
Rarely.
Rarely?
Yeah.
Okay, and would she watch her kids for you sometimes?
Yes.
Okay, and it would be fair to say that she'd need you if someone else, you know, like the father of her kids or someone else can't watch them, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, you can step down. We need to keep her any further? Anybody need her further?
Not from Mr. Garcia, Judge.
All right, you're excused. Thanks for being here. You're free to go about your business. Call your next witness.
The state calls Clariza Lebredo.
Come on up here, please, ma'am. Would you raise your right hand and face the clerk to be sworn, please?
You swear affirm testimony about giving this case to your truth, whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat. Slide up to the microphone, please, ma'am. May proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and your last name for a court reporter?
I'm Clariza Lebredo, Clariza Lebredo.
Where are you employed, Ms. Lebredo?
The Adelson Institute.
How long have you worked for the Adelson Institute?
Almost 40 years.
Where is the Adelson Institute located?
Tamarack, Florida.
Do you know the exact address?
7737 North University Drive, Suite 207.
Has it been at that location for the past 10 years?
Yes.
And what is the Adelson Institute?
It's a dental office.
What is your position in that dental office?
I'm Dr. Harvey Adelson's assistant.
Do you ever work at the front desk?
I'll answer the phone, but that's not my job.
So you're more of the practical dental assistant.
I'm a dental assistant. I'm his dental assistant,
You don't-
Dr. Adelson's.
Who is Erika Johnson?
She works in the office.
And what does she do for the office?
She works up front, and she's a surgical assistant
To whom?
to Charlie Adelson.
So you work for Dr. Harvey Adelson, so obviously you know who he is, correct?
Yes.
Do you know his wife?
Yes.
Who is that?
Donna Adelson.
Is she employed by the Adelson Institute as well?
No,
She does not work at the Adelson Institute?
not now.
Did she work there back in 2016?
Yeah, yes.
What about 2017?
Not all the time.
So you're telling me she was not the Adelson Institute's office manager?
She was the office manager, but didn't come in every day. Not, can't remember all the.
Would it refresh your memory to see a transcript from your deposition that you took on, that was taken of you on October 25th of 2017?
No.
That wouldn't refresh your memory?
No.
Okay. Do you recall being asked the question, what does Donna do at the Adelson Institute? And your response?
Overruled.
And your response was, Donna was our office manager.
I would say that sometimes. I say different. It's office manager, she's the boss.
So she does work at the Adelson Institute.
Yes.
And you're familiar with Harvey and Donna Adelson's children, are you not?
Yes.
You know Charlie Adelson,
Yes.
as well as Wendy Adelson?
Yes.
How long have you known them for?
Wendy was about 2, and Charlie must have been 6 years old.
So you've known them mostly?
Almost 40 years.
Okay. And if you could wait till I'm done asking the question so the court reporter can get down everything correctly, okay? Back in 2000, I'm like in the 2015, 2016 timeframe, who all was employed at the Adelson Institute?
Erika, myself, Dr. Adelson, Charlie, and our hygienist.
Who is that?
It was Amy.
And then, of course, Donna Adelson.
And then Donna.
And those are the only employees that worked there, correct?
Yes.
Are there any other dentists who work at the office besides Dr. Harvey Adelson and Dr. Charles Adelson?
No.
What are the business hours for the Adelson Institute?
8 to 5. And then we had a late night that was 11 to 7.
And the 8 to 5 business hours, those were Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays, right?
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Yes.
And the late day was Wednesday would be 11 to 7 p.m.
Right. We've changed it, but
But back at this time,
back at that time it was 11 to 7 on Wednesday.
would those be your regular working hours as well?
I'm sorry?
Would those times that you've indicated and dates that be the regular hours that you would work as
Oh,
well?
yes, yes.
Did y'all routinely see patients on a Friday?
No, not regularly.
What about on the weekend?
No.
Does Adelson Institute have or back at this time, because I know you have a service now, but back at this time, 2015, 2016, if a patient were to call the Adelson Institute and y'all were closed because it was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, that call would be routed to a voicemail machine y'all had, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And every Monday morning when you came in, y'all would, it was like an old school machine.
It was, yeah.
And
I
you
would hear the messages at 8, as I open up, 7:45, 8 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. So you'd review those voice messages and then return the patient's phone calls that had called while the office was closed.
Yes.
Does the Adelson Institute, if you're aware, maintain employee records?
They must.
They must because they're a business, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Do you know who has access to those employee records, employee files?
No.
You don't?
No.
Would it refresh your memory to see the deposition transcript that you took in October of 2017?
No.
Do you have access to employee records?
No.
So back in your deposition, you were asked question, does anyone other than Harvey, Donna, and Charlie have access to employee records to your knowledge? And your answer was no.
Can we get a page and line reference?
Yes, sir. Sorry, page 10, lines 3 through 6. Do you remember being asked the question, does anyone other than Harvey, Donna, and Charlie have access to employee records to your knowledge? And you answered no.
Objection and proper impeachment.
No.
Overruled.
Do I remember that question?
Do you remember being asked that question and giving
I don't
that?
remember.
But you don't want me to refresh you by showing you the transcript?
No.
Do you remember during that deposition going to the Broward County Courthouse to be deposed?
Yes.
And you recall that counsel for defense was present at that deposition?
Yes.
And a representative from the state was also present?
Yes.
And there was a court reporter there, just like we have today?
Yes.
And she was taking down every word that you said as you said it?
Yes.
And you recall raising your hand and swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth during that
Yes.
deposition? Do you recall 2 police officers coming to the Adelson Institute back in June of 2016, around 11 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
And how did you know they were police officers?
I didn't. They weren't dressed as police officers.
Did they advise you that they were?
I don't remember.
During the course of their being at the Adelson Institute, you learned that they were, in fact, police officers, though.
Yes.
When these 2 officers encountered you, and this would have been June 1st, 2016, did they ask you if you were familiar with an employee named Catherine McBanois?
Yes.
And you told them no, you were not familiar with an employee named Catherine McBanois, correct?
Right, correct.
At that point, did you go seek assistance from another employee at the Adelson Institute?
I went and got Erika.
This is the Erika Johnson we mentioned earlier?
Yes.
And once you got Erika Johnson, did she then go and speak with the investigators
Yes.
herself? Do you know the defendant in this case, Catherine McBanois? The female
No.
defendant? No. Do you know if she's ever been a patient at the office?
She's been a patient.
And that's the extent of your understanding of who she is as a patient of the office?
Yes.
And approximately how many times has she been a patient there?
I think we worked on her once. She was a patient one day in my chair.
Is it possible she was a patient more than once?
Because she might have had a cleaning, too.
And you're not able to say that Ms. McBanois was employed by Adelson Institute, are you?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
And I believe you said it's now been 40 years. But in the entire time that you worked at the Adelson Institute, have you ever physically seen this woman at the Adelson Institute,
No.
other than as a patient?
No.
How do you get paid by the Adelson Institute? Are you hourly or salaried, do you know?
I think I'm salary.
Do you get paid by check?
Yes.
Do you get paid in advance of the time period you're going to work, or do you get paid once you've completed a certain time?
Once you complete, every 2 weeks.
That was my next question. You're paid every
I'm
2
paid
weeks.
every 2 weeks, yes.
Do you ever get paid for weeks of work? I can't talk, I'm sorry. Have you ever been paid for weeks of work prior to completing the work?
No.
Have you ever received 3 paychecks at a time?
Yes.
When?
If they're going to go away on vacation, then that's when I would get maybe 2 extra checks. The weeks they were going to be away, then I got, because I'll be in the office while they're away.
How frequently would that happen?
Once a year when they go away.
So that would be a very rare occurrence for you to be paid multiple paychecks at a time.
Yes.
Were
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever, sorry?
Yes.
Were you ever paid 4 paychecks at a time in advance?
No.
Nothing more than that?
No.
Either? Have any of Charlie Adelson's girlfriends ever been on the Adelson's payroll, to your knowledge?
Not that I know.
And have you ever been aware of any Adelson Institute employee in the history of your employment there that worked exclusively by phone or remotely?
No.
Are you still working there to this day?
Yes.
If I could have one moment, okay?
Amen.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Lebredo.
Thank you.
Garcia.
Just 1 second, Ron. No questions for Mr. Garcia.
Fagbano?
Yes, sir. Is it Labrada or
Lebredo. Lebredo.
Labrado.
Lebredo. Lebredo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Charles Adelson would travel a lot for work. He would be at other dental practices doing work.
Yes.
I think the term is called a suitcase dentist.
I've never heard of that.
You were asked a question by the government. They asked you if any employees had ever worked by phone for the Adelson Institute. And it was if you know. Do you know if anybody ever worked by phone?
No.
It is possible that somebody did work by phone for the Adelson Institute and you just don't know.
I don't know of that.
Don't know the answer.
Don't know the answer.
You don't know what you don't know.
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
One brief moment, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect. Any juror have a question of this witness? Write your question down, we'll go sidebar. So were you the only one that checked the voicemail machine?
Yes.
You're not aware of anyone else ever doing that?
When Erica comes in, she might check it also.
Okay.
But usually I'm the first one for a while, because I come in at 8, quarter of 8.
So you're usually the first one in,
Yes.
and you check them when you come in?
Yes.
Okay. Any follow-up, Ms. Norris? Follow-up, Garcia?
1 second. Yes, just two quick questions. Good late morning.
Exactly.
Just to follow up on that issue, while you indicated yourself and another employee had the ability to check the voicemails, would I be correct in assuming that Dr. Harvey Adelson could also check his voicemails?
Now they can.
Okay. Like today?
Now meaning, now we have an answering system, answercom system.
Okay. And when did you get that system?
Oh, maybe over a year ago, a couple years maybe.
So before that you had like a machine?
Yes. So they couldn't retrieve the messages.
Who was in charge of this phone line? Well, let me ask it this way. Did Harvey Adelson have the ability to contact the phone provider with regards to the line for the Adelson Institute?
Sustained.
Was Mr. Adelson the owner of the Adelson Institute, Harvey Adelson?
Dr. Adelson,
Yes, he was the owner, correct?
Yes.
Did he have the ability to participate in actions with regards to the telephone database that you guys had?
He doesn't listen to the messages.
Are you sure he's never listened to one of the messages in the whole time that you've been there?
You mean he actually physically goes and, no.
Has there ever been a time where Dr. Adelson was there that you weren't there?
I'm sure.
Right, so there's times where you indicated that there's a split schedule, correct? With regards to the time, the hours of operation?
Regarding the time, yes.
Okay. And then there's some days that you're open from 9 to 5, correct?
8 to 5.
I apologize. 8 to 5. And what days were that again?
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you a question, not that you recall, but on July 1st, 2014, that was a Tuesday? Do you remember if that... July 1st,
yeah.
2014. If I told you that was a Tuesday, would you have any reason to believe that I'm telling you something incorrect?
That's not a
Well,
proper
let me ask you this.
thing.
on Tuesdays, you guys were open from 8:30 to 5, correct?
8 to 5.
Okay. If Dr. Adelson was ever expecting a call, did he have the ability to forward the office calls to his cell phone?
Well,
I
she
don't
can
know.
answer if she knows.
I don't know.
Thank you.
McBanum.
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Right. Can you read, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. You can step down. Do we need to keep this witness any further?
No, Your Honor.
Right, you're excused? Okay. Call your next witness.
State of Erika Johnson.
Your Honor, would it be okay if Ms. Kawhi stands in for me for a second? This is my witness. I just want to run for that.
Certainly. Certainly. Anytime one or the other of you is here, we're good. Come on up here, please, ma'am. Right up here. If you face this lady, raise your right hand to be sworn.
You swear affirm testimony about giving this case to be true, whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And is your phone off?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Turn it off, please. You can have a seat. Slide up to the microphone, please. May proceed.
You got that? Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for our court reporter?
Yes, Erika Johnson. And spell my name?
Yes, ma'am.
ErikaJohnson.
How are you employed?
I'm sorry?
How are you employed? Where do you work?
I work at Adelson Institute.
How long have you worked there?
8 years.
What's your position there?
A dental assistant.
And to whom are you a dental assistant?
To Dr. Adelson and also Charlie Adelson.
And Charlie Adelson is also a doctor as well, right?
Correct.
Do you also work at the front desk?
Yes.
What are your tasks at the front desk?
Making appointments, sending out insurance,
Are you
things
the...
of that nature.
Say that again?
And things of that nature.
So you do a lot of the paperwork, scheduling, insurance claims, returning phone calls, things like that?
Correct.
And you're the primary person who does that for the Adelson Institute?
Correct.
Do you know of anyone else who does that?
No.
You also handle patients' payments for the services that the Adelson Institute provides, don't you?
Correct.
Do you often have to even quote prices for patients on what certain dental work is going to cost?
Yes.
The Adelson Institute dealt in cash frequently, didn't it?
Not frequently, but we do accept cash, yes.
I mean, the office does offer a substantial discount if a customer can pay in cash.
Yes.
Back in 2000 and, hold on one second. I need to- Back in the time period 2014 to 2016, do you recall who all was employed by the Adelson Institute? Besides yourself, obviously.
To my knowledge, it was myself, Clariza Lebredo, Victoria Lebredo.
You had the two doctors, right?
Well, they're not employed, but they, yes, they work there, yes.
I'm sorry, and that's what I meant. So Dr. Harvard
Charles,
Adelson?
yes.
And Dr. Charles Adelson?
Yes.
Any other dentists or surgeons that worked there?
No.
Did Donna Adelson work at the Adelson Institute?
Yes.
What was her role?
She's like the office manager. She makes things run smoothly.
She's responsible for payroll?
Yes, she is.
Would she maintain the employee files?
Yes.
And you report to her?
Yes.
Did you also have an Amy who was a hygienist?
Yes. Did I not name her?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Is there anybody else you can think of you haven't named?
No.
Okay. When we talked about some of the, well, I haven't with you, but the hours that the Adelson Institute was open and the days, it was a Monday through Thursday operation,
Yes, usually.
closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Correct.
And the hours approximately 8 to 5 most days. I think on Wednesday was a later day, 11 to
Yes.
7.
Yes.
If a patient would call to schedule an appointment or just try to reach the office and the office was closed, that call would be answered by the old
The
school.
answering service, yes.
Well, today it's the answering service, right?
Well, yeah, and what is it called? Like a voice, when you can leave a voice message.
An answering machine.
Answering machine, there you go. Well, yes.
And back then y'all had an answering machine.
Correct.
And who would be responsible for coming in on Monday morning to check
We
those?
all would. We all would.
Whose primary task was that?
Mine. Mine usually. Because I do front desk.
I want to talk to you about an incident on June 1st of 2016. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. Do you remember two police officers coming to the Adelson Institute?
Yes.
And did you know why they were there?
No.
They asked you about Catherine McBanois, didn't they?
Yes.
And they asked you about whether or not she was employed at Adelson Institute?
Yes.
Did they ask you for any employee records related to Ms. McBanois?
I believe so.
And did you provide those to them?
No.
Why didn't you?
I don't have control of those records.
Who has control of those records?
Donna Adelson or Dr. Adelson.
Today you've said that the person who has access to those were Donna Adelson and Dr. Charles Adelson. Is that right?
Donna Adelson and Dr. Harvey Adelson. Possibly Dr. Charles Adelson as well.
Were either Donna Adelson or Harvey Adelson present when the FBI agents came to the office?
No.
Was Charles Adelson present?
No.
When you received, the officers turned over or handed to you what's called a subpoena for the personnel file belonging to Ms. McBanois, didn't they?
I don't remember.
You don't
I don't
recall
remember
that?
if they gave anything. I don't.
Well, once they were making these requests of you, did you go and call Charlie Adelson?
I did.
And did you go in the back of the office to make that phone call?
Yes.
Outside the presence of the officers?
Yes.
Did you advise him as to what was going on?
Overruled.
Did you advise him as to what was going on?
Yes.
And did he then give you direction as to what to do?
Same objection.
I don't
Overruled.
remember.
Were you aware that that phone was being tapped by law enforcement at that time?
No.
Would it refresh your memory to listen to the recorded phone call between you and Charles Adelson that morning?
If I listened to it,
Yes, ma'am.
Objection and proper refreshing.
Overruled.
Would it refresh your memory to listen to the 3-minute recorded phone call between you and Charles Adelson as to what was said during that conversation?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
no.
Okay. So what is your answer? Would it refresh your memory to listen to a CD with the audio of that recorded phone call?
It would be a recorded phone call that I would listen to remember
Yes, ma'am.
what happened that day.
Yes.
I would imagine so.
Okay. No, I would ask
No.
to do that.
You can do those things on breaks. We're not going
Yes,
to take up the jury's time on things you can anticipate. Move on.
Were you offered that opportunity before we began court this morning?
Yes.
And you refused it, is that right?
Yes. I didn't feel comfortable with that.
Okay. Are you now comfortable listening to that recorded phone call?
I'm still not comfortable listening. I don't understand why I need to listen to it.
You're telling me that you don't remember the phone conversation.
Correct.
All right, let's jury step out. Play your tape. Everybody be seated.
Hey, what's going on?
If you're asking for records for Katie.
For what?
That she works here?
I wouldn't give anything.
Yeah, and then the ex, did she work there? I was like, yeah, she works there, but I don't know what you want. Because remember we sent that.
Erica.
Yes.
Do me a favor. I'm not there right now, and I'm in surgery. But it's not my office. It's my dad's office. So I can't give anything out.
Right.
So I don't have access to it. I don't know where anything is.
Okay.
So you don't have access to anything. So
I don't know where anything is either.
Yeah. So I would do this. I would not. I would not speak to anybody. You can do whatever you want, but I don't. It's my dad's office.
Yeah.
So I don't have access to any of that stuff.
Okay.
So they can talk to my dad, and I'm sure they'll be able to get whatever they want from them.
Okay, understandable.
So if I had it, listen, you can talk to whoever you want. I shouldn't say don't talk to anybody.
No, I'm going to do whatever you tell me.
Yeah, no. I shouldn't say don't talk to anyone. Talk to whoever on the planet you want to talk to. But it's not my office, and it's not your office.
Right.
So you don't have records to give them, and I don't have records to give them. So I'm sure they'll be able to help them out in any way they can.
Okay. So that's what I'll tell them.
Tell them that it's not my office. The office was sold back to my dad actually a long time ago. So tell them that so it's actually, you're talking to the wrong Dr. Adelson.
Right.
So what you need to do is tell them that you will get in contact. Because tell them, it's not your office. You can't get that record.
They said within 20 days of Florida statutes, provide above cause with reason.
Are they there now, or do they just stand?
They're there, but I'm in the back. I'm in the back. They're just waiting for me to come back.
Oh, and they want records?
Yes.
Do me a favor. I'm going to call you from a landline on your cell phone, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Let's have the jury back.
Jury's in the courtroom. Judge, they can't hear this witness. Can we do something with the mic or put it?
What's that?
Should I just speak louder then?
Everybody be seated. You may proceed, Ms. Norris. Keep your voice up, please, ma'am.
Ms. Johnson, did you have an opportunity to listen to the recording of the phone call that you made to Charles Adelson while the detectives were waiting in the front office?
Yes.
And did that refresh your memory about the conversation between you and Mr. Charles Adelson?
Yes.
Was it a fair and accurate recording of that conversation?
I don't think it's fair to record without telling someone, but
I can definitely hear the call clearly.
I guess, and I understand your concern about the wiretap situation, but my question was just, was that recording, did it fairly and accurately show your conversation with Mr. Adelson?
Yes, I can understand it.
Okay. It didn't appear to be changed or altered in any way.
No. Exactly. I don't know
Overruled.
that.
Did you recognize the voices on the tape?
Yes.
And who were those voices?
Mine and Dr. Adelson's.
Dr. Charlie Adelson?
Correct.
And when these law enforcement officers came to get this personnel file for Catherine McBanois, you didn't call Dr. Harvey Adelson. You called Dr. Charlie Adelson, right?
Correct.
And during that conversation, he told you what to do.
Yes.
He directed you.
Well, no, he didn't tell me what to do, but he was just telling me an option. He gave me an option.
In fact, he kept saying, "No, I can't tell you what to do."
Exactly.
But tell them this.
Objection, Your Honor, all this is hearsay.
I'll overrule that objection, but
So he told you. He in fact used the word "tell them" multiple times throughout that recording.
Yes.
And you told him, "I'm going to do whatever you tell me."
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
overruled.
Is that right?
Yes.
At the conclusion of that call, did Dr. Charles Adelson indicate that he wanted to call you back from a landline?
Yes.
And on your cell phone, not on the office's cell phone? Or not on the office's line?
I think he called me back on the office line. I'm not certain.
I guess my question was, he told you he was going to call you from a landline on your cell phone?
Yes.
After that phone call with Charles Adelson, is that when you came back to the police officers and told them that you had been told Katie worked there? Or sorry, excuse me, you had been told Catherine McBanois worked there?
I don't remember what I told them.
Would it refresh your memory to see the police report documenting the interaction between you and these law enforcement officers?
I actually had the copy and I looked over it and I don't remember saying the things that they reported.
Okay, well, can I approach and show you and we can see if it's on this report?
Yes.
May I approach on?
You mind?
The defense counsel, I'm on the first page of Pat Sanford's June 20th, 2016 report.
You're going over.
Sorry, if you could just read this little portion.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I know what the report says, but that didn't happen.
And that's okay. I just need to ask you about whether that happened. So, want to get the timeline correct. Law enforcement shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Lebredo comes and gets you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
It's okay, it's okay. She comes and gets you. You come out and deal with officers for a moment. Then you go back and call Dr. Charles Adelson.
Yes.
And after that phone call with him, in which he tells you what to do and say, you return back to the law enforcement officers.
Yes.
And at that time, you told them that you were told she worked at the Adelson Institute.
I don't remember saying that.
Do you not remember, or are you saying you did not say that?
I don't remember saying that.
And this report doesn't help refresh your memory?
No.
And you just listened to that call. Mr. Adelson sounded nervous on it, didn't he?
Objection, Judge.
Legal objection.
Speculation, lack of personal knowledge.
Overruled.
I don't know.
You could not hear in his voice the shakiness?
I don't know. I don't know if he was nervous.
Do you know Catherine McBanois?
Yes.
And how do you know her?
From being Charlie's girlfriend and coming to the office.
Coming to the office as a patient,
Correct.
not coming to the office as an employee.
That is correct.
And you've never seen her inside of Adelson Institute as an employee?
That is
physically?
correct.
Last couple questions about how you get paid. Do you know if you're salaried or hourly?
I'm hourly.
And are you paid twice every 2 weeks?
Yes.
Are you paid for work prior to doing the work or paid once you've completed the work?
That I don't know. That I don't remember how it goes.
It's just money coming to you. Okay. And I may have misspoken when I said twice every 2 weeks. You get paid one time every 2 weeks.
Correct.
Sorry about that. Would you ever get paid for work in advance, like multiple weeks of paychecks at one time?
Yes.
And when would that occur?
Sometimes when they would go on vacation and they wouldn't be here by the time another payroll was coming, they would give us the check.
So maybe you'd get 2 checks at one time.
Correct.
Did you ever get 3 full pay period checks at the same time?
Not that I can remember. Not that I can remember.
4 at the same time?
Not that I can remember.
Are you aware of any of Charles Adelson's girlfriends being on the Adelson Institute payroll?
No.
Have you ever been aware of any Adelson employee that has worked exclusively by phone or remotely?
No.
And are you still employed by the Adelson Institute today?
Yes, I am.
Ms. Donna Adelson writes every single paycheck that you receive?
I believe so.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson. I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Proceed.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Ms. Johnson?
Hello.
My name is Sam Zangan. I represent Sigfredo Garcia. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your knowledge and involvement in this case, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, you'll agree with me that Harvey Adelson was the owner of the Adelson Institute, correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree with me that if he wanted to, he could contact the phone provider that they were using at the Adelson Institute, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll agree with me that if Harvey Adelson wanted to forward the calls from the office to his cell phone, he had the ability to do so, right?
Yes.
1 second, Judge. Nothing further.
McBanois.
Get all this in before noon. Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Donna Adelson. Is it safe to assume she was there, she'd run the office, but she'd come and go?
Correct.
It's not something that she's punching in at 8 o'clock in the morning, leaving at 5 o'clock at night?
No.
She's married to the owner?
Yes.
Gets different liberties than other employees?
Yes.
Charles Adelson, my understanding, unlike Donna Adelson who would come and go, he was just always on the go.
Correct.
At other dental practices doing surgery, what does a periodontist do?
A periodontist does implants. They do extractions, bone graft, anything that has to do with the periodontium, which is the ligaments that hold teeth in place.
All right. So if another dentist needed to have a periodontist, he would go to their office and do the surgery?
Correct.
Catherine McBanois, is it a fair answer that you are not sure whether she was employed by the Adelson Institute?
Yes, that's a fair answer.
Did the Adelson Institute, or does the Adelson Institute have a website?
Yes.
Did they have that back in 2014?
Yes.
Have you ever met the person that does the website stuff?
Once.
But you don't know the
Please, Ms. Johnson, I'm sure people are not able to hear you.
Sorry, once.
That's somebody that works for the Adelson Institute, and you wouldn't know the essence of their employment or how they're paid?
That is correct.
What about who runs social media?
Have no idea.
What kind of software do you use in the office? And I'm going to give you a few names. Tell me if you use it. EagleSoft, TDO, Dentrix.
Dentrix.
You know what that is, right?
Yes, I do.
Now, Dentrix is software that a dental office can use to run patient records, billing, all the stuff that happens with a dental office, right?
Yes.
Importantly, through Dentrix, one could log in remotely from another location and see the exact same computer screen that you would see at your desk at the office, right?
Correct.
And just to make sure for the court reporter, Dentrix is Dentrix.
X, yes.
Talk about cash now. You said that the Adelson Institute accepts cash payment.
Yes.
Is that not, correct me if I'm wrong, the reasoning why a business would accept a cash payment is not because they're trying to avoid reporting, but that there is a savings. I'm going to strike that, Your Honor. I'm going to re-ask that question. You had said that there's payments of cash, but that there was also discounts with cash payments.
Yes.
Is that not because the business saves money from the credit card rate transaction?
That's 100% correct.
Meaning that if a patient were to pay any amount of money with a credit card, that the business has to pay the credit card company for running the transaction.
Correct.
Is that common
Yes.
in the medical field?
Yes.
Sort of like breast surgeons do? If you know?
I would imagine so. I think it's common in any business.
Last line of questioning, and it will be done before noon. Ms. Norris asked you questions after you listened to the phone call.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you weren't told, don't give anything.
That is correct.
You weren't told, oh no, they don't exist. There are no employee records for it. You weren't told that, right?
That is correct.
One brief second, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Redirect.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence what I've marked for identification as State's Exhibit 180, the CD that was played for Ms. Johnson, into evidence.
Objection, Your Honor, this is redirect.
I beg your pardon?
Objection, moving evidence in during redirect.
What? I sustain the objection at this point.
You were asked some questions about that phone call between you and Charles Adelson. He told you, I wouldn't give anything.
Objection, hearsay.
All right, I'll admit in State's Exhibit 180.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Permission for recross, Your Honor?
No, well, yeah, I will let you recross. Will be required to.
Can I publish that at this time, Judge?
Let's take a lunch break. We'll see you at 1 o'clock. Go to lunch. Keep the microphone in front of you, please, Ms. Norris, and jurors saying they're not able to hear you. 1 o'clock.